What's up, and welcome to the Sisterhood Corner. To the newbies, welcome. To those who've been here before, welcome back. Another week, another set of letters. The first letter reads, starting over at 52. Hi, Sisterhood Corner. I hope you can help calm my nerves as I'm writing from a place of fear. I'm a 52-year-old woman with two adult children and am recently divorced. Mine is a typical story of a young woman born in the 70s whose dream was to get married and have a family of her own. When that happened, my marriage was not only a symbol of being chosen, but an achievement in life. As a result, my marriage to me was a crown, my identity, and a big part of my existence. And everyone around me always gives me a look of disapproval whenever I tell them that I was a damn good wife. Can you blame them though, looking at how everything else unraveled later on? I loved being a wife and I excelled at it. And motherhood also came naturally to me. Though my husband was not well off when we first met and married, I was taught that it was best to marry someone you were going to you were to grow with and accomplish things with. That will explain why I stuck with him through it all until we eventually became successful. Like I said, we eventually emerged on the other side, and it was nice being part of his life as he realized his lifelong dream of becoming a successful businessman in the transport space. I'm not going to lie, it was also nice being the wife, who was well taken care of, stayed at home, didn't have to lift a finger or worry about money, and just focus on being a mom. It was really great. I enjoyed 15 years of marital bliss, but sadly, the last 10 years became a nightmare. On the day I was supposed to be celebrating my 25th anniversary, I was signing my divorce papers. To be honest, though, I was not blindsided in any way. After the riches, he was never the same man. Infidelity became an issue and a norm, and he really started disrespecting me. Luckily for me, though, as much as I valued my marriage, I've always had an inner pride that wouldn't allow this to be my life forever. I hung on to the marriage, but still put an exit plan in order. Though I had already checked out of the marriage, I made sure I stuck it out so my kids would complete their varsity and start their own independent lives. In the meantime, I bought land in a rural area and built a small cottage. So when it was time for the divorce, I wasn't worried. I was given what he felt. Oh, I wasn't worried. Even in the settlement, I was given what he felt was due to me. And to be honest, I didn't contest anything. I took it and left, to his surprise. I think he expected a fight. But because I already had my own plans in order and I knew I was going to live somewhere and all of that was taken care of, I really did not need to put up a fight. Fast forward, I'm living in my cottage, starting over. I'm scared out of my mind. I've never worked anywhere. All I ever knew how to do was to be a wife and mother. The world feels like a scary place. And though my children visit often, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life going forward. To be honest, I actually was braver throughout the divorce process than I am now. I feel like a little child again. she signs off the letter. Well, first of all, congratulations, Mama, on a second chance at this life thing, right? I know a lot of sisters who got out of a divorce, and it was rough, and a lot of it had to do with fighting. They fought until they couldn't anymore. By the time the divorce processes were concluded, they were drained. So congrats on just, you know, planting the seeds ahead of time, so that when the divorce actually comes, when the divorce process actually starts, you don't have to go through all of that. Okay. I must say, I admire, how you summoned your inner Delilah in a good way. I know Delilah is viewed as a crappy woman in the Bible, but really, I always say that if you think about Delilah, Delilah was a very strategic woman. You know what I mean? Fine, he betrayed, Samson, but that is strategy. How she got to lure him, and all of that, to chop up his hand, whatever. But not to get all biblical, it's just that crept up. But I admire what you did, because it's something that a lot of people don't have the strength to do, especially people who've spent all their lives, relying on a man. I think that you should thank whoever it is that you inherited that inner pride from. Kudos to you, because I think had it not been for that, your story would have been a completely different story, right? I'm going to address this letter in a way that it deserves, because really this is a celebratory, for me, this is a celebratory moment. In all of the fear, because with change comes fear in everything in our lives. There's always going to be an ounce of fear when you get into uncharted territory, or something that you haven't done before. But I promise you, you are about to rediscover yourself. And I'll say rediscover, because you were never lost. The fact that you could still all of this in action while in a marriage, last 10 years of your marriage, and you were smart enough to see, okay, now this boat is sinking, and put everything in place and build the cottage. Although chances are what you call a cottage to me is a whole house. Because that probably would qualify as my house. But anyway, I'm just, I read your letter, and I just felt like I can achieve anything in my life, like I can do anything, just by reading your letter, and how smart you are. I think you don't realize how smart you are. Now, everything about your letter says you're a strategic woman, and I can promise you, if you're that strategic, there's nothing is going to fail going forward. I think what you just simply need to do in the here and now, right now, because I don't see anything that says you're traumatized or anything like that. You sound like a woman who came out of it unscathed. You came out of it, and like you said, you were brave throughout the divorce process, which could come from, the survival self-preservation mode, that adrenaline of it all. But I promise you, if you've made it through this far, going forward, I promise you will be nothing but a piece of cake. You've done super well. While in the marriage, you thought of plan B, where am I going to live? Because you already saw, okay, the infidelity, the man has changed, the money has changed him. Not really changed him, but it has really revealed him. And you put your plan in place, you put your kids first, but in a very smart way. You didn't forget about yourself as well in the same breath. They grew up, they got their own lives, independent lives, and it was time to make put your own plan in place. And to me, you don't sound sad. You're just fearful of the future, which is normal, because I think you're an overthinker. And if you're an overthinker like I am, you'll play out a million scenarios in your head, and trust me, you'll worry yourself sick. I say at this point, just take a breather, because you don't sound like somebody who's even strapped up for money. So whatever it is that he gave you and he felt it was due to you, I think it's enough to carry you maybe for like a year or two. But whatever it is that you need to do going forward will come with you self-rediscovering. Once you find yourself again, you will then realize what it is that you love to do. And I think your answer and your key lies there in terms of what you need to do going forward to make a living, to work towards your retirement, your own retirement as a single woman. Well, unless, of course, you're lucky and you get married to another rich man. Yeah, anything is possible in this world. But really, I think self-discovery, rediscovery. This is a journey. Celebrate it. This is going to be a journey of self rediscovery. There's nothing about you're not starting over, you're starting afresh. That's another thing I wanted to say to you. You're not starting over. People are starting over are people who literally left their marriages with nothing. They went back home with their kids. That's starting over. But you are starting afresh. It's a new beginning. You didn't move back home. You moved into your own cottage in the rural space. Wake up every morning, sit in your veranda, sit out there, take drink your coffee, find yourself, watch things that help you remember who you are. Enjoy this. This is a journey to enjoy. I think that you are actually an example of what a lot of young people who are in bad marriages need to be implementing as a plan B, because there's a lot of people in their 40s, 30s who are stuck, and these men are financially stronger than they are, or their husbands run all the finances and they have nothing and they feel stuck. I think a lot of young girls should listen to your story and how you strategized and start implementing that, because wow. So my sister, there's nothing here to hang your head low about. Let's celebrate. It's a celebration. It's time for self-rediscovery. I promise you that's where the key to what you need to do for a living going forward lies. Take a breather, take a whole year, if you will. Find yourself again. Everything else will fall into place. I promise you, things always work out. It does not matter what happens. Things always work out. You're going to make it after all. I know what I'm talking about. Perhaps maybe one day I'll share my own story on this channel. I'll see. But I never thought I'd be where I am. And here I am. And guess what? There you are. And guess what? In a few years' time, there you will be. Enjoy your life. Your time has come to find yourself. There's nothing greater than that.